Hey, and today we're going to be talking about what I believe to be the cornerstone of self-improvement, and that's the idea of self-identity. It's really the thing that you have to do to make a change in your life, the most important part of it. So we'll start off with a general overview, go into a story or two that's relevant to the topic, and then go into some nitty-gritty details about it so that you can fully explore the topic and what it can do for you, and so that you can get all the benefits of the idea of self-identity. This is essentially what I believe to be the step zero to improving your life or making any kind of significant change. I say step zero, but it's sort of every step to improving your life or making some kind of change, because it's sort of the thing that you're doing in the background, whether you know it or not, but it's like the ultimate goal that you want to achieve with the change that you're trying to make. Changing your self-identity is the fundamental goal of self-improvement overall, because any significant changes that you make in your life are not going to stick unless you change your self-identity at its core. And that may be easier said than done, but at the end we'll go over some tactics to help you do that as well. So self-identity is just simply the labels that you would put on yourself, sort of who you are as a person, how you see yourself. Pretty much all the qualities of you are what make up your self-identity, from lazy to active to gym goer to book reader to writer to enthusiast, or any sort of describing factor of yourself. And that is the step zero. That is what you need to fundamentally change in your brain to become something else, or else that deep dark thought in the back of your brain of the self-identity that you were will always hold you back. It is the idea of changing who you are rather than what you are doing. Although, funnily enough, what you are doing is actually the steps to change who you are in your brain. It's kind of funny like that. And there's many sort of factors that lead to your self-identity, and not all of these factors are going to be internal. A lot of them are actually going to be external and coming from other people and influences around you. This will sort of tie into the story I'm about to tell you in a second, but I want to take a minute to talk about those external factors. You need to sort of not let those external factors determine who you are, and that's going to be sort of the toughest part. The internal ones are going to be sort of easy to change, but the external ones are going to be a lot harder to change because they're sort of being reinforced by other people's opinions, and you think you can't change those other people's opinions. And because it's a lot harder to change other people's opinions rather than your own opinions, because they're not going to really see the work that you're putting in, but rather the fruits of your labor. And all that stuff takes a long time for it to come out and whatnot. And now for story time. So I've always had bad handwriting my entire life, and that's part of my self-identity, right? I am just someone who has bad handwriting. In my brain, there's sort of nothing I can do about that. I just am a guy who has bad handwriting. And that is sort of the fundamental flaw right there, is that I see myself as someone with bad handwriting. So interestingly enough, back when I was journaling, which I should do more, but one day I sat down and I sort of started writing slower, right? And I also started writing a little bit smaller, sort of maybe 70% of the size that I normally do. And if I took my time and I really sat there and I really focused on writing like a super concrete, perfect letter, I could do it. And it was almost mind-blowing to see those words on the page because they were written perfectly, and I was that dude with bad handwriting. But the evidence was right in front of me, and it's proof that you can change your self-identity because I had drawn perfect letters on the page. And this was that aha moment when I started connecting a few things, because I saw that concrete proof on the page. I started asking myself how it was possible for someone with bad handwriting to write a good, clean, perfect sentence. And then I started asking myself, well, am I writing sloppily because I have bad handwriting? Or am I writing sloppily because I believe that I have bad handwriting? Because when I sit down and put in that full-fledged effort, I write out perfectly clean sentences. And now it might take some actual practice to get that stuff good, but that sort of happens with anything that you're trying to change in your life. You change that self-identity by getting good at it and then showing yourself proof. And then I started thinking back on the external factors that make me have sloppy handwriting. And while one is that self-identity of me having bad handwriting, I very distinctly remember when we were first learning handwriting, and I don't know what it was, first grade or something, but I very distinctly remember her telling me to write the letter from the top line to the bottom line, and it cannot be any shorter or any bigger. It has to fill in that line. And then this idea is subconsciously running in the back of my mind, because I would not be able to remember that if it didn't have a lasting impact on me, because that's like one of my earliest memories that I can think of, is her telling me to do that. And I actually write a lot cleaner when I write a lot smaller, but because she told me that, I write a lot bigger, just naturally. And then I also write a lot faster than I should, because when I write it down slower, it comes out a lot cleaner as well. And I can also remember in high school when we were taking notes, a kid next to me was always praised for how fast he got the slide done. And then I would sort of race him to get that done as well. So I sort of naturally write quickly as well. So by me breaking free from those two external influences, I started writing a lot cleaner. And I feel like this is very important because there's actual physical proof proof, right? Like there's probably a very similar experience that you've had where you've actually were sort of almost able to change your self-identity, but your brain is like, nah, man, that's not how it is because there was no physical proof. But when I sat down and actually wrote this out and saw it myself, there's really no arguing that I could write cleanly, but I don't. And then that challenges my self-identity view of being a bad handwriter, which I think is just what I am. So that's the general gist of the idea and what you need to change, right? But how do we actually do that? Well, the best way is just slowly over time by changing your habits and doing those good habits that relate to the self-identity that you're trying to change to. And building good habits is an entire beast on its own, which I should make a video about soon. Maybe next week, but no promises. However, that's an essential step one to showing your brain that you are becoming that new self-identity rather than the old one. Every day that you wake up and you're doing the habits of a gym goer or a healthy person or a writer or a YouTuber or whatever, you're going to reintroduce that idea into your brain that you are that new self-identity rather than the old one. So yeah, man, that's about it. That sort of wraps it all up. Self-identity is sort of the highest level of self-improvement. You have your habits, beliefs, and accomplishments that you want to change under that to sort of get the self-identity to change in the end, but your end goal is changing that self-identity. Change your goal to becoming I am this rather than you want to do this. Take a look at your external factors, your limiting beliefs, and see what those are doing to you and how they're holding you back. They could even be subconsciously doing this. And why not share some stories below to help each other out and inspire everyone else? What are some of your external factors and limiting beliefs? Thank you very much for watching, and bye. Have a good day.